And without skipping a beat, he leaned across the table and he went, "You would be an amazing coach."
Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And welcome everybody to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. I'm so grateful to be with you. We have the amazing Jonathan Carroll with us today, and this is a brother from another brother, as they say, right? So who I've been noticing for a while with his wonderful energy online, and been hearing about him from other, clients, colleagues, things like that, saying, you got to check this guy out. He's got some cool stuff going on. He's so art-centered. He's so real. It's really different. And it's all about using your gifts and thriving and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, sounds cool. And I have been checking him out. That's why he's on the show today. So, Jonathan, I'm really grateful you're here.
Oh, what an amazing intro. Thank you, my friend. It's like so generous, so loving, so like electric. I just feel super alive all of a sudden. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, so wonderful to have you here. And so, yeah, let's go ahead and tell them about you. So, Jonathan Carroll is the founder of the Dragonfly Club, TM, a revolutionary community offering life-changing personal development experiences for curious seekers on a journey to discover purpose, passion, and full expression in both life and business. As a certified transformation coach, spiritual guide, mentor, and host of powerful masterminds, retreats, and leadership summits, Jonathan seamlessly blends extensive business expertise with a deep commitment to spiritual growth, impact, mastery, and legacy. Having led hundreds of people on transformative, I should say, wilderness journeys, he is celebrated for his generous, high-vibing spirit. Clients praise Jonathan's innate ability to help him uncover their divine gifts, empower them to design an abundant life and business that aligns with their true soul calling. So great. I was just telling Jonathan, this is a perfect podcast to bring to my audience because I'm constantly talking about stop hiding those deeper divine gifts and let's go. And that's been my big thing I've been sharing a lot over the years, and especially this year again. So yeah, I'm really curious about what you're gonna have to share with people on about all this. But always there's a story about I'm really curious, like what's brought you into your divine gifts? What's been the journey with that? Did you used to be really caught up in the matrix, as we say, right? More everything's five senses, or I don't know if you're that far or not, but a lot of people were, and also boom, and they could start tapping into their gifts more. So what was your journey with your divine gifts like?
Oh, what a phenomenal lead in. Probably somewhere in the region of about 7 years ago, Daniel, I was deeply caught up in the matrix, as we say, and but pre-healed, having any kind of awakening moment, and it was it makes me laugh. It was a girl, it was a woman, it was a breakup, and it was a tough one, and it sort of hit me pretty hard that I had been repeating a pattern in my life, and that pattern wasn't going away. And I seemed to keep pushing, beautiful, available, wonderful women away. And not knowing exactly what was causing that, I leaned in and asked a friend. I've been doing some couples counseling before that and with a therapist and so on, but I leaned into a friend and said, you talked about a life coach, and wonder if you have anyone you'd recommend. So I hired a life coach who ended up being an amazing first start or guide on the path, so to speak, and really put me in touch with, or in tune with, my spirituality. And at that time, because of the force of the the seed cracking open, right, so to
Mhm.
speak, there was a rapid expansion and a really beautiful unfolding of connection with spirit, synchronicities. The dragonfly at that time became a sign for me from the universe that, follow this path. And it was echoing back to me. And so partway through my relationship with that coach, it was back when we coach in person. And I remember saying one time in his office, I said, I think I want to do what you do. And without skipping a beat, he leaned across the table and he went, "You would be an amazing coach." And it was like he immediately like downloaded all of this belief in me that like this would be my not even my future path. Like right now, it's my path. And because I was so excited about the type of work he was doing, the
Mhm.
relational work, the conversations, the way he could access and see the parts of me, my soul that were like desperately longing to come out. The the areas where I was blocked around my heart and being able to be open and vulnerable, all of that echoed some of my past doing leadership work. It was just like on a whole other level when you brought in spirituality. And so I have really not looked back. And then partway through my coaching journey, I found plant medicines, which really opened me up even more. And being deep in ceremony with, psychedelics and some of these ancestral practices have been pivotal in my growth and in my healing, especially I'd say in my healing, which I think can be a buzzword and can also be a scary word for many people. And they think like, well, I don't know if I need any healing. No, no, we all have shit from the matrix that needs healing. And I'm not afraid to say that out loud, that many of us who have awakened our gifts have first had to heal many parts of ourselves to find those gifts.
Mhm. Yeah, totally. Yes, it's can be all part of the process and is part of the process for sure, 100%. And um, so that's fascinating that uh, you got activated by your life coach to realize, okay, this is wow, like to just even being with the coach and whatnot, like, wow, this could be my path. This feels good. Now one thing about becoming a life coach is it when utilized properly, or like it kind of puts a divine mandate on you to up level fast. Because and then as you continue to be a life coach, you just can't help but to be constantly moving through your own stuff on a regular all the time basis, because that's your mode, right? So that's one of the cool
And
things
which
about it.
nobody warns you about in advance. You like,
Right.
I think as I recall, I thought I was going to go and, take these courses and get this certification, and I'd have this toolbox that, or set of even letters next to my name
Hmm.
that would mean
Hmm.
I could do X. Well, I had no idea that it was going to open me up even further to all the aspects of myself that still needed to grow, heal, expand, etc. And I wouldn't look back for a second. I wouldn't change any of it. I am the man I am today because of those deeper experiences. Um, and you're right, to be a good coach, they say you can only coach somebody to the level you're at, or you've gone to. So
Hmm.
that inspires me to keep going because I want to be the ultimate reflection for a client who's coming with big aspirations, big goals, or big healing. I need to
Hmm.
hold that capacity. I need to have a breadth and depth in my range that allows me to go to those places. So our work is never done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're just so like it just seems like we're just everything you're saying. I'm like, yep, I feel the same way. Like, it's like, yes, I have that mindset of sort of like take everything to the max, whatever that might mean. I'm in that phase, like especially these days. It's just like whatever taking it to the max is, so to speak. Now that doesn't mean, some people think that means like just breathless action or something, but it's, for me it means like, you know taking like each aspect of your life kind of to the max, so to speak. Like, I really, for me, I feel good about like having this sort of, I call it a dynamic balance in your life, right? Like the idea of static balance is no good, right? In life, in my opinion. Well, I do the same thing every day and it's always the same thing and it never varies whatsoever. That might be okay for some people, maybe, but usually it gets stagnant. You got to constantly tweak, adjust, and even overhaul things at times. And so, but yet there's a balance. There's a balance of just being deeply like, hey, I'm just kind of hanging out right now, you know. And there's a time to be like, it's time to do some real inner work right now, or to take some massive action. And there's time for all of it, in my opinion. You know, I think they're all have their value, you know, and so I think like sometimes people get into being a life coach or they think about going in that direction and it's intimidating, or maybe they could be intimidated by this. Oh my God, it'll be just never ending, like trying to change yourself. And do I even believe in that? Like I have to change myself. There is an essential self, you know, and there is no need for change. And there's all kinds of concepts in this field, right? So, so because there's a whole backlash against personal growth, you know, out there these days. I've been part of that at moments. Like I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that stuff either. We just are who we are, and I dropped the stories that we need to keep changing, and yet there seems to be changes to be made, right? So it's very fascinating. This whole thing, you know, goes deep. I like to go deep.
Deep is good. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's to everything, there's layers, you know, and especially to us. And so you can find yourself peeling back a layer where you almost feel like you've returned to a place that's echoed or familiar, but
Mhm,
you've still done an exceptional amount of travel, you know, so to speak, to
mhm,
get to that layer. And then you reveal, maybe you peel one more layer back and you're back at your whole different energy again, like, oh, you know, so um, it may feel like the pendulum swinging a little bit, but at the same time, it's
mhm,
all growth.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. So on this pathway, then, I mean, uh, how did you discover more about what, I mean, what are divine gifts? First of all, like that's a big topic. I mean, I could argue a divine gift is be able to do plumbing, like I often talk about. Like they're all divine gifts in a sense, but when you're talking about divine gifts, and when I talk about it too, but we mean something a little different than that. But like, what do you mean by divine gifts?
The it's a difficult thing to describe or articulate, but I think the best way I can approach it is to think about, you know, there's a version of you before you got programmed by the matrix that was leading in a direction. So as a child, you maybe had talents or interests or or special specialness, and those were either taught out of you or scolded out of you or reasoned out of you or logicked out of you, and somewhere along the line you fell in line, you became normalized to this world, society, school, what have you. And in a I think in a more divine society, we'd be encouraging those gifts. We'd be calling them out. We'd have teachers and spiritual guides and mentors that could identify that gift in someone at a young age and have them learn how to foster that, how to lean into it more, as opposed to dropping it and, you know, like, it's time to color, you know, like, I don't want to color, I want to make music, no, it's time to color, you know, like.
Hmm.
So that's an simple example, but divine gift might also be, you know, when we think about people who have switched on gifts like clairvoyance, clairsentience, you know, they can see things, they can sense things, they can hear things from another realm, another dimension, you know, when the veil is dropped or thin. And because our imaginations have also been wrung out of us, adults aren't very good at believing kids who might experience some of that. And so our gifts really get left behind in some fashion. And I even go so far as to say, like, Daniel, why are you in this container in this lifetime with that body, with that mind, with that intelligence, with that heart? All of those things are clues as to who you be
Mhm.
with your gifts and beyond your gifts. And so allowing people to really sense themselves as a holistic organism when your mind, body, soul, spirit, emotions are all kind of interwoven and online. What are we here to do? And you know, I don't know that I'm careful about predicting a future where there's no such thing as jobs, but I also think that gifts are defy jobs in some way. They're something beyond getting
Mm.
paid for your hours to be here.
Mhm.
And they are typically the divine gifts are those that are in service to the collective, as in, we need your gift in order to elevate all of us. And
Mhm.
so I think that's the level of my awareness and belief in divine gifts. That's kind of how I articulate it now. And I know that that's an evolving definition as well and will evolve as I do.
Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free meditate, make money meditation today.
Yeah. I mean, well, I kind of like that you didn't give this like, here's my formal definition, because it helps people to ponder, what does it mean to them, and what do they hear in what you're saying, let it be a little bit more of a mystery, because it is kind of a mystery in a way. So I kind of like that answer in that regard too. And then, um, yeah, this is so cool. There's so many things to dive into with what you said. I mean, we get it. If we go back to what you said about talents and gifts as a kid, I think we could all take a moment to think about that. That was always a good reflection, right? Like, what just came natural to you, if anything, if you could remember as a kid? Because sometimes we were like, "Wow, I wasn't good at anything," or we might have all kinds of weird beliefs, right? But for me, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I was particularly natural at tons of things, but I remember being a all-star pitcher in the little leagues, like as a little pee-wee league, pitcher. And even though I couldn't hit, I was making all-star teams because I was pitching well. Um, and that I won my proudest award is I won Sportsman of the Year award or whatever. So in the pee-wee leagues or whatever, I got all these kids. Like, I didn't think I was doing anything other than just being normal, right? Like, I didn't even look at it that way. But I always remember that. I just remember being quiet and just kind of being a really centered, sort of nice presence, nice guy. I think that's probably why the parents voted me in. They're like, he just seems so nice. I'm
I
guessing,
hear you.
right? So I've always been known as a nice guy. Um, which is a gift. The love that people feel, from the presence within me, I think is a gift that, again, it's just more palpable maybe than the average person that you might meet. Uh, but yeah, other than that, like, I mean, imagination maybe is another one that seemed to be a bit strong for me.
Mhm.
Some creativeness. I'm just thinking about myself so other people can think about theirs. Like, what was it? I definitely wouldn't have thought, like, I didn't catch on about having intuitive and energetic gifts until later. Like, even though I like always tell people, I always was trying to change the lights, on the street, like, okay, we're in a red light, I can change it. I know I can. I'm gonna turn it green. And like, I'd be doing that all the time. Never told anybody about it, but it's something I was always doing. And I was not like I was successful, but like there was a focus going on that. And so I feel like that was like a training I was doing on myself, But what if I had a shaman or something teaching me more about that, right? I didn't have any guidance, And even with the energy scan stuff that I do, it's a technique that came to me from guidance. I didn't go see a teacher in my case. I was given it. And so I think that to me, that's maybe sort of part of these divine gifts. It's something that's kind of always been there. I think is another way of looking at some of these divine gifts, and it just things that come natural to you. And I bet I could come up with a lot of different things. A lot of people say to me, "Oh, you're so talented," and this and that. And then, quite frankly, like probably like most people, I'm like, I can be super confident and be like, "Oh yeah, of course I am." But I'm also this guy too. I'll be like, "Yeah, I guess." Like I'm both. I'm both people. Like I'm kind of weird that way. Like I'm like, I don't know. I'm just another person. Then another part of me is like really confident, cocky, even, and all that. So of course I am, and more, and so I mean, so yeah, so like being not confident, being confident, like I'm a really different person is how I look at it. But then again, am I, right? So it's just very, very interesting. But I love like you gave me that opportunity by just even talking about that. It helps me explore and helps the listeners explore what's my path been like? What have I been good at? You know? So
And
yeah,
there's something you reminding me too, that, something I often say is our life is leaving us clues. And
hmm
so something as benign as wanting to change the lights, or your ability to pitch, which I might even say, well, go deeper. What was it that made you such a good pitcher? Was it your focus? Was it
hmm
your attention to detail? Was it the connection you had with the ball, the moment, your presence, the timing, all of those
hmm
things that when
hmm
you go
hmm
levels deeper, you could see that there may be some innate gifts built into that
Yeah.
related to the 3D matrix. But
Yes,
when you
yes,
peel out of the matrix, you could see like these are beyond. So
yes.
something that seems like maybe quite natural could also, with um, time or with practice, could become
Right.
something that's supernatural. That
hmm
might be the divine gift in it, right? So if you had a shaman, or you had a mentor or a master that was working with you with these gifts, you
hmm
could take it from something natural to supernatural, and that's the development of those gifts.
Yeah, no, that's a great, great point. I was thinking about that. It's funny you brought that up. I'm like, I guess it was the focus, like, because I know that's something my sister said within the last year or two or something. I don't know what I said or what was going on, and she just said something. She just said, "Well, I don't know. I've always known you to be the person. Once you put your mind to something, you're going to be successful. It happens." And so then I'm like, I guess she says that because of things like when I played Monopoly. When I was younger than everybody, I would play at first, so I'd be losing, and then that created irritation and anger, and I'm like, that's it, no one's winning ever again. And then like I would study before there was all these guides and computers to tell you all the tricks. Like I just figured it out on my own. I just like this is how we roll with Monopoly. No one wins Monopoly except me from now on. And that's kind of what has happened. Like, I'm just known as don't play Monopoly with Daniel. Like, but it's focused, but then it is metaphysical mastery because I am literally casting spells on people. I really am. Like, you're not going to hit this pitch. Boom. It's not that it's always the most blazing speed, although people said I was really fast when I was younger. Like, it had an extra speed in their experience, right? But it was the usual with pitching, but still there's more. Like you said, like there was like just like this is the way it happened. And then I was even back then I was like, yeah, you got to brush them off the plate. So I would hit kids not on purpose, but I would try to push them back. Sometimes they would get hit. And then sometimes they just brush them back, and then they get scared because it was kind of fast. So then I'm like, oh, I got them now. They throw them on the outside, right? Just the usual stuff. But then some of it was supernatural because I know I was just throwing spells on them. Like, no, you're no good. No, you're gonna
I
hit this in
love
the
that.
ground, or yeah,
It's reminding me of how much superstition there is in sports. And I think of like hockey
yeah,
goalies or a pitcher at the mound and the routine they go through. Like goalies will sweep in front of the net, this many times. They'll go down, they'll do a whole bunch of like little movements before they're ready for the next, scrimmage or play or whatever. And pitchers will often, sort of like kick the mound or do different things that are part of their routine. But I think what if you think about it, what's going on there is they're kind of doing that similar thing you talk about of casting a spell. They're getting into the energy of like what I believe is going to happen if I do this. And
Hmm.
so that's like they're building up a belief system that's going to manifest into a reality. And
Hmm.
that's pretty cool. We see that a lot in sports. I wonder if people could take a page out of that and apply it to everyday life. You know, before I sit down and I have a sales call, or before I go and write the next page of my book, I'm going to literally imagine what I'm going to do here. I'm going to make
Yes.
this sale, or I'm going to write the best page in this book right now, that
Yes.
kind of intentionality.
Yeah, Michael Jordan, of course, like for many of us when we were younger, because you're probably similar age to me. And I've got from North Carolina, I've got his jump shot here, the winner he had in that game. But anyway, I got him right here. And I have at times made a deliberate focus to focus on that energy, because he says, I always believed that the ball was going in. I never had any other belief. It was always going in. Whether it did or not, he'd never varied his belief. It's going in. It's
I
going
love it.
in. And I'm sure he had the same idea about winning. I'm winning. I'm winning. I'm winning, right? It didn't vary his belief regardless of results. And I think that's one of the things that catches people is they'll vary their belief based on results. Michael
Mm,
Jordan didn't vary his beliefs based on results. He continued to stay consistent and focused.
yeah.
And so, so many examples. I always thought of him as spiritual master on the court, at least. I mean, he's a spiritual master on the court, right?
Phenom. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because he just totally understood it. I'm like, that's why I think he had such appeal beyond like he's physically talented, like other people were, but like he's Michael Jordan because of the embodiment he had, right?
Well, and you
So,
you bring up, like, when I think about um phenomenal people who are phenomenal at anything, but in this
mhm,
case we're talking about sports.
mhm,
They are often people who know how to access and be in flow. And flow, I think, at at some level is very spiritual as well. There's a full surrender in flow. It's matched with skill. Like there's
mhm.
people have leaned in hard to the skill set involved with playing a sport or being an artist or being a musician. But once that skill set has been developed, they're able to surrender it to the moment. And that's what puts them in this sort of deep state of flow, which I also believe at its highest level is a spiritual connection.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Totally. So let's learn more about you. What are some of the talents and gifts you've had? That maybe you remember even from when you were a child.
You were reminding me of some moments that I've had thoughts about in recent years, and I still question, like, was that real?
Hmm.
But one of which was levitation.
Wow.
I have these vivid memories of levitating off my bed and even traveling through my house, but
Hmm.
they were often in a dream state or
Hmm.
sleeping, which
Hmm.
which in more recent years I thought originally I thought that's impossible, like that must be just something I dreamt of, and then more recently realizing, oh, that could have easily been astral travel that
Yes.
that I've since just didn't believe happened, but now I'm like, no, I was actually astral traveling through my home intentionally and moving places, and then, like it does, it got learned out of me and matrixed out of me, and it's not something I'm able to access anymore. But
Hmm.
I have such vivid memories of that, to the point that I thought I was cuckoo at one point, and now I'm like, no, no, that actually wasn't cuckoo at all. That was an insight into your gifts.
Yes.
um Another one I have many memories of was walking down the street, and there was one street lamp that would either go out or turn on when I would walk under it. And even at that time, I thought, I must be something special to be able to do this. It doesn't happen. I watch the lamp and it doesn't happen when other people go by it. And then I'd be like, well, let me go check. I'd see a family walk under the light, nothing would happen. and they'd hit the end of the street, the stop sign, turn right, and go different direction on their nightly walk. And I was, maybe 5 houses down playing basketball or something. And I thought, I'm just going to go check. And I'd walk down and the light would change, and just go out or it would turn on or whatever the opposite was of where it was. And I thought, like, that's crazy. Like, what is this energy that, like, am I magnetic? Am I, something? And so that's an easy one to, like, just assume, it was just random, and or some sensor on it was seeing dark. I don't know what, I could logify it, but I also think, no, there must be something to that. My more recent discoveries or gifts are about, you said something that I also resonate with, of being like just a real pleasant, nice kid to be around, very loving. As I got older, maybe around grade 8 kind of thing, I remember also being funny and personable and someone that everyone could get along with. Um, I didn't have enemies, and I was just the guy who got along with all the different, factions, so to speak. In high school, that went even further. There was like all these little pockets of, like, as people try and experiment with their different styles and music tastes and so on. And I was someone who could flow between all of those different groups and appreciate them, and they appreciated me. And so one of the things that's become through line in all my work is this notion of, like, unconditional love and witnessing, and that oftentimes people's divinity, that what makes them special is right there for all of us to see, but we're not all trained in how to celebrate that. And so I'm making it a point to call it out and to say what I believe is special about that person, what gifts I see in them in that moment. And then in the group programs I'm running, I'm teaching us all to do that in group so that we can really, it's almost like fanning the flames, like, give us more of that, bring that divinity to life, bring it out. We want the light that's inside of you to show on the outside more, with more prevalence, with more confidence, with more trust that light is for all of us. And so that becomes a pretty special gift that I'm sharing with the world as one of my divine gifts, but it has a ripple effect where now others know what the power of that can do in relationship with each other.
Yeah, I mean, again, and usually if it's a really natural gift, people tend to minimize it, right? They don't make too big of a deal of it. And I remember so many events I've done in person, especially those ones where tuning into somebody, I'm like, you've got a real gift, like you transmit peace, and that's a really powerful gift you have. They'll be like, what? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, like, no, I'm telling you, like, so everyone could bring peace, whatever. Like, yeah, no, it's a natural transmission you have. It's a little bit different. Yeah, anybody could, but you've got this natural transmission that you've built up through the lifetimes or whatever, like, whatever it was. But like that would be an example. And most people at first are like, I don't know, is that a gift really though? And like, yeah, the gifts, a lot of the gifts are the ones that, some of the core ones are ones that you don't have to work for. They just are. They just are. Like, yes, you can put more focus on them, right? But they tend to just come natural. It's not like, well, you really need to develop that like big time. You really don't have that yet. Or it's like it comes pretty naturally. It's just kind of who you are. And then yes, you can amplify it and do more with it. But the ones that, as they say, come the most natural, right, are tell you like that's a natural gift. The more you are talking and the more we've been in this, I'm like, what am I talking about? I was, I keep thinking about the different things I would do in terms of, again, with focus and things. Like, it's always with focus. Like, I just get clear that I'm going to pick you up and throw you on top of this 5-foot snowbank. It's going to happen. If I decide we're getting on the ice and wrestling, even though you're the same size and you can bench press the same amount and all that stuff, you're going down every time. And it would happen like 23 times in a row. I remember one of my friends, like I just get determined and like certain things would happen. And like, yeah, I guess focus has always been one of them, like just to be like, when I decide, that's it kind of mentality. And I've had an access to that that's been, but been there, but then the there's a wisdom, but also you could call it a block or a hesitation, like where I'm like, yeah, but should you, maybe you should go down every once in a while, like, so like those kind of things have been part of my path too, of in the areas that things are coming natural. Um, it's almost like, well, is it fair that I'm so much better than they are at this one thing? I mean, it might just be that one thing, like math was another one, right? So it's a very fascinating thing. Thinking about the gifts we have, it's so fun. And then thinking about also the other side, like, I mean, there's some wisdom in thinking about that, right? Like that I would even have a conscious about how's this making other people feel? Is it right to just keep winning? Um, some people wouldn't question that, right? So like I'm reviewing those things, and what does winning even mean? And like all the deep questions.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's another gift of mine, is to look deeper into things, right? I drive some people nuts with it, but like, yeah, it's a gift at the same time.
yeah. I think that many of us who end up doing the work that you and I are doing have a gift of curiosity, right? And there's some
Yes,
people that don't care to be curious. They're just like,
right,
I believe this, and that's it.
right,
We're
right.
curious about all the ways that something could be possible or not possible, and
Mhm.
there's an openness there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. So how do you go about teasing out people's divine gifts? Are there processes, exercises that you did mention around looking at childhood, for example? Do you tune in intuitively, psychically as well? I imagine as part of it. Like, how do you go about doing that with people?
Yeah, that's a really great question, especially for listeners who may be thinking about, honing their own gifts, like maybe they have an inkling as to a gift. Oh, now you said that. I used to do this thing when I was a kid. Okay, great. So now what?
Mhm.
Um, you know, play around with it. The fuck around and find out kind of energy. Like you can't, it's going to be hard to break anything if you have good intentions. So play around, experiment, be curious, be open. And I would say, for me, I have begun to trust my intuition, right? There's a first step that is a gift we all have, is intuition. It's divine in nature. It's our connection to source. And many of us have been trained out of using intuition because we have been told to prefer logic. But your gut or your intuition will tell you things that will often stand in the face of logic. And I also believe it's where most people are losing hard in life, is they're choosing a logical path instead of an intuitive path.
Mhm.
So start to play with little nudges, little intuitive hits that you get, like, something in my gut's telling me I'm a no, yet my
Mhm.
brain's telling me this. Well, forget about your brain. Your brain's a psychopath and it's going in loops all the time.
Yeah.
But your body is keeping score. Your body's really a measurement tool and a truth meter. So those intuitive hits are little like truth meters for you to lean into. And that's one way you can start to really explore your gifts, because then when you start to trust, like, oh man, my gut actually told me the right thing this time, where my brain was telling me something different. And as you learn to trust your gut, you can then start to trust your other abilities, which could be any number of different things, right? But I would say that that's arguably the best place to start. For me, when I'm working with a client, I'm listening, right, to the words they say, but the energy in the words they say, or
Mhm.
the intonation of how they share it. And you said something not too long back where you said, most people, their gifts are so basic that they just skip right by them. So as a deep listener and someone who's paying attention, you'll notice someone skip by something that seems of importance. And I might even get a little hit like, ooh, you played that down and you skipped
Mm,
past the thing to tell me the thing you think I want to hear, but I want to go back. I just had a conversation with somebody the other day, and I said, you said something about working with youth, and you went on to tell me what you're doing now, but that youth piece seemed important. And they almost like surprisingly had this look on their face, kind of like, oh, you noticed that, huh? Like they think they're weaving us through this like lie that we can't see. And when you're really paid attention, you'll notice these things. And so we
mhm,
had a longer conversation about them working with youth. And I said, I think my invitation to you is to really experiment with like, what would it look like if you leaned into that full time? And their
mm,
face kind of lit up, which said it all, right? Like that
right,
became
right,
apparent that they're not working their gifts. They're doing something else because it sounds like or looks like to the external world success or money or a paycheck. But I also often say to clients and in my content that the more fully you lean into your gifts, the more fully supported you'll be by the universe.
mhm,
That the universe is in co-creation with us, source, God, what the great mystery, whatever your word happens to be,
mhm,
wants to bless you in using your gifts because that's what you came here to do. And
mhm,
so for people that are trying to make it in the matrix with a job and feeling miserable, that's the universe saying you're going the wrong direction. Now there isn't, it's not to say that there aren't divine lessons in going in the wrong direction, that when you finally course correct, you get to like use all those lessons towards your gifts. um, but the universe, I believe, is really wanting to support people who are embracing their gifts fully. And
yes,
we don't always know what support looks like because we're our brain's telling us it looks like a paycheck, but it may just look like acceptance, support, abundance that come from other sources.
mhm, sure,
So
sure.
I think it's
Yeah, I
really
mean,
about leaning
show
in.
up in all kinds of ways, right? I mean, there's all kinds of abundance, and I think, yeah, sometimes we got, yeah, the whole money thing's a whole nother conversation, right? And money is my source. Yeah, okay. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you the minute if you got all, I love that Jim Carrey's a kind of an interesting person, but but I will say with what he said with that whole statement, which I'm sure you've heard. I want everybody to be famous, get all the money in the world as fast as possible, so they can see that ain't it. That they're going to be miserable. It's not going to make them happy. And so, yeah, I mean, because honestly, like I've even seen that for myself in certain ways. Like, oh, everybody thinks they want all this stuff, but the minute it happens, it's like the mind is relentless in looking for where the lack is and where the problems is. Yeah, but we don't have 10 million yet. Yeah, and you're laughing now. Like the average listener is listening because they don't have nowhere near that. They're like, no, I'd be happy. Yeah, sure, okay, yeah. Wait till you're there, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, where's the next 10 million? Where's the next billion? And the mind's insane. I've often some not all, but some of the most lack-minded people I've ever met are the ones with the most money. Like they have the biggest lack consciousness. Some of them, I wouldn't say all of them, but
Well,
some of them
many
do.
many of those people don't trust that they're being supported by the universe, and so they're
Right.
building up a big kitty to as a safety blanket that they don't
Yes.
need, but they
Right.
believe
Right.
they do.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think that's the cool thing I love about you and money because you do talk about that subject a decent amount here and there, and that it's yeah. I mean, that you're all for money for you and for everybody, and yet we don't have to be so caught up in the game and the heaviness of like you gotta make money and let's talk about like how we just made $1 billion yesterday and you better follow me and give me your money too if you want this life like that's almost
Money's
like
money's
isn't that like a
amazing.
Ponzi scheme? I mean, it's like
Yeah.
I've got a lot of money. I did something to get it. Now, if you want to learn how to do it, you better follow me. Now you're going to give me more money, right? Like,
Well, we see that
it's
a lot in our industry, and it's smoke and mirrors, it's
yeah,
snake oil to me. I think
yeah.
it's missing the point, and what people really need to be sold is themselves back,
Mm-hmm.
to be giving people their power back and realizing that, there's no power. I'm not your power. You don't hire
Right,
me because I'm your guru.
right,
You hire me
right.
because I'm going to hold up a mirror and show you how powerful you are. That's
Mm-hmm.
what people really want at the end of the day. That's what stops you in the loop of having to keep hiring coaches that do the same thing over and over, which is take your power.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point about money, I love money. I absolutely love money because it's an energetic reflection of abundance, but it's only one of many. So is the food on my table, so is nature, so is a sunset, so is friendships, so are so many things that people forget to be grateful for. And so they're hyper focused on money as the measurement tool, but it's
Mm-hmm.
only one meter stick, like
Right,
it's
right.
only one of the many ways we can measure abundance. And so I love money because I can use it in flow. I can be in flow with money, and it shows me that I'm co-creating with the universe.
Mm-hmm.
and um and it's an energetic measurement, but so are so many other things that we forget to look at. And so I know that the universe will remind me I'm abundant with money when I'm also grateful about all the other ways I'm abundant too. And that's as much about consciousness and frequency as anything really. It's about being fully on fire, lit up, and excited about all the ways that you're so ecstatic by all the ways that you're shown abundance. And then money can't help but flow in when you're in that state. That's my version of why we get excited about money. But if it's the only thing you're looking for,
Yeah.
you'll walk straight past so many other versions of abundance that are staring you right in the face. And it may take you a long time to realize just how magical and abundant you are. And so that might be those people that are the most wealthy but still believe they're poor because they don't see the magic in a sunset or the freedom they have in time or relationships or love or a baby or all the different ways that we're abundant.
Yeah, I totally agree, 100%. And my same type of philosophy, I want to say, same type of philosophy, same type of view. So this is fantastic. I know that you do set up containers and opportunities for people to understand more about their gifts, to step into them, allow themselves to experience the abundance they are on all the different levels. I know you wanted to share about that today. I wanted you to share about that. So, yeah, it would now be a good time for you to go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about your event you have coming up.
Beautiful. Thank you. Appreciate the space
Mhm.
to do so. You mentioned at the beginning in my bio that I run a community called the Dragonfly Club. And so we have a free Facebook group that anyone on Facebook can come and find us there.
Mhm.
But the OG, the original flagship program for the Dragonfly Club is the Metamorphosis Experience. And I have one of those starting on the new moon of October 2nd, coming up soon. I'm currently running an early bird that will have probably expired by the time this podcast is out. But for your listeners and your listeners only, I want to make that early bird, which is a 50% off incentive, available to your listeners. Now, I know that this isn't going to be only on Facebook, which is primarily where I promote, but if people want to be in touch and ask more about the 12-week group program called Metamorphosis, they can reach me at my email, which is Jonathan, Jonathan, at tidal like a tidal wave, transformation.com. Jonathan at tidaltransformation.com. And just hit me up with the word dragonfly and I'll know what you're talking about. And we can start talking about metamorphosis, if there are still spaces left. And if not, we can talk about waitlisting you for another iteration of the program.
That's fantastic. Give us the 1 minute version of what they might experience through this metamorphosis experience.
Okay, so part of it is about experiencing and shining light on our gifts. So I will help with that, but also we're using the perspectives of the other loving, conscious, heart-centered people inside the group to share their perspectives with what they see about us. There's also 12 weeks of, peeling back layers. So doing some deep inner work around inner child, meet your higher self, meet your future self. Talk about editing your social circle so that you're surrounded by the highest frequencies of love and abundance that you possibly can be. Maybe getting rid of some people that are maybe potentially dead weight. We talk about manifesting abundance. There's a bunch of stuff that have led me down my path of expansion and growth and building up my business that I thought this is so different than how most coaches would teach in a mastermind program. And so I'm specific that I don't even call it a mastermind. I call it an experience because we're going to take people on a wild journey. So that is the metamorphosis experience. It's inspired by the dragonfly. So the idea that we start as a nymph and then we release and peel back the exoskeleton or the dead weight that's been holding us back. And what emerges is the light and colorful dragonfly that's ready to fly and soar in the world.
Now, beautiful. Oh, that's fantastic. So we'll put this in the show notes of the podcast, and I look forward to people reporting back to me how they enjoyed doing this experience. Assuming that people follow up with you, and I'm sure people at least connect with you and whatnot for sure. So, guys, yeah, I mean, it doesn't get any better than the sense of safety and the sense of the space to come back home to who you really are and what truly is and what can be, that Jonathan offers. Like, there's nothing like that. Like, that's like, wow, really? Like, can be this with this much peace, this much ease. You mean I don't have to fight for it? I mean, I don't have to earn it. I don't have to measure up to it. I get to just let it in and start letting it happen. Yes, that's the transmission I sense from Jonathan very much so. So thank you for offering that to everybody. Yes, thank you. All right, so we're going to do a little bit more downloading here. We're going to do the energy scan segment where I'll do a couple of downloads for Jonathan. Now, again, audience, you want to be paying attention because, again, these downloads tend to have some resonance for the audience. They're like, oh, I needed to hear that too. So let's see what comes through. You ready to receive, Jonathan?
I'm ready. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Okay, hold on. Let's see what's going on then. Yeah, you know what keeps getting my attention is and it was really getting my attention when you brought it up, is the astral travel. Because I really feel you're meant to bring this back, really meant to bring this gift back. And I'm seeing like, I just see you like journeying, around, like, I don't know why, but I'm getting like big skyscraper buildings I'm seeing and whatnot. Like, you're just traveling these different places. And I feel like you're bringing transmissions through maybe these astral travels. I don't think it's like, whoa, I'm going to say like a spy kind of thing. No, I think it's more like you're bringing energy to different spaces through astral travel in part. That's what's like getting my attention. And also, I think you're going to teach it. Like, then once you bring it back into you, kind of like what I do with energy scanning, it'll be like everybody could kind of do this, right? Just need to learn how to do it, and you'll teach it in your own way, and it'll be maybe a little different than maybe how some other teachers might teach it. So that one download's coming. Let me see if I get one more for you. Okay, so I get they take me to your power center, and there's like this Buddha type of energy, but there's also inside that there's like sort of laughing Buddha, um, a piece, but there is a sense of there's opportunities, and like like a monk leaping on those rocks out on the river, right? Like, ah, oh, ah, ah. oh, like some of that too. So you
Love it.
got that, and I feel like even more of that wants to come through as well, because you're already starting to develop more of the Buddha energy, right? So I feel like that's in you pretty good. But then we bring this, like I feel like that helps to amplify even more of the true, authentic Buddha energy, and I'm seeing like, so it's kind of fun the way it feels. But yeah, you can help people. Yeah, I do see you're definitely a person who can help people see the shortcuts. Eh, like not shortcuts in a bad way, but like, oh, you think you need to go all the way around the pond and come back to the next square? Like, no, it's right here. Like that kind of thing. Like those kind of shortcuts. Like it's direct. It's direct. Be direct.
Reminding me
Be
of
direct.
the phrase, the only way to is through.
Right, right, right. Whereas other people are running around things, right? Like, oh no, I think I'll have to do all this stuff. You're like, no, right here.
Right here. Yeah,
That's
yeah. We're gonna
great.
go deep, and you're gonna have support, and it's not gonna hurt as bad as you think.
Yeah, yeah. Any other reflections on what came through?
The astral travel thing, lit me up because I thought I saw something on, if you're familiar with the program or the network Gaia, and
Yes, totally. Yes,
I think there's someone on there who teaches astral travel. I was watching
yes,
a couple videos on YouTube with that, and I thought when you said it, I thought this isn't as inaccessible as I think it is. It's probably
yeah,
something I could, learn from someone who knows how to teach it, and then I would
yes,
be able to develop my own version of that and maybe
yes.
even teach it in a similar or different way. I don't know.
Right, right.
But that excited me. It made me think about divine gifts and developing divine gifts, but
Mhm,
also choosing to develop your divine gifts as opposed to just assuming they're there.
mhm,
Which is the point of all of this, is to lean into them and to realize that
mhm,
sometimes they need to be honed, and in many cases we need a guide to help us honing them. I think of like Skywalker and Yoda, right? Like we
yeah, yeah.
need we need a Yoda sometimes. So that was really cool. And then yeah, and then I think the other reflection or download you were sharing has a lot to do with what I was saying before about depth and breadth, right? Range. And so how do we call in more range? It's like, this energy very well, this energy very well, but what about this energy over here? What would it look like if you were to um, either access more of that or share more of that?
Hmm,
You
hmm.
know, and those deeper questions we sometimes ask ourselves of, why am I not sharing that energy if it's in me, right? Like
Right.
why am I leaning to these when I could lean into that as well?
Yeah,
So I love that.
yeah.
Really good.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally. Totally. Oh wow, yeah, because that happens a lot for people that are already doing coaching or healing. They're like, I've been doing this thing, but I keep wondering if I should do this other thing. And yes, you should do the other thing. I'm sure. Most likely, yes, you totally meant to do that other thing. So I could be a medium psychic, but I'm a coach or something like that. But so yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic. Everybody, if you want to check me out as well, you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com. Get your free meditate, make money meditation. There you will get some downloads and great energy of abundance. So I open you up, just open up your chakras a bit. It just help you to connect with your guidance. I don't know. Other people say it's coated with stuff and whatnot. Yeah, of course, divine codings in it awakens you. So you've got that free meditation, meditate, make money meditation at yoursacredpurpose.com. And then the other opportunity is a Rock Your Sacred Purpose energy scan consultation, where I'll tune into your energetics, through the 7 major chakras, your look at your core wounds, your purpose, what are your some of your gifts and strengths that you have that I see in your energy. If you're a profound psychic, or are you whatever, whatever is going on for you, to take a look and help you with that. Also help you if you want to get your business going, or you want to have a breakthrough in your business, to see where those opportunities are. So I look at your energy and ask you some questions. So you want to take advantage of that, go to yoursacredpurpose.com. the Rock Your Sacred Purpose Energy Scan Consultation. All right, so Jonathan, we're already there. We're already wrapping up the show, but do you have any last beautiful words to share with the audience before we wrap up today?
Thank you, Daniel, for having me here. Thanks for these special words and the energy we're sharing with the collective. I think it's an important topic. I think the final words would be I would encourage everybody to question what they believe their divine gifts are and to not assume that only some people have them. We all have been brought here with something special to impart by way of our contribution in service or a legacy of some sort. And that I believe is where we find real fulfillment, is in the expression of our authentic truth and our gifts with the world.
Yeah, totally. All right. Thank you so much for being on the show, Jonathan. It was an absolute honor and pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
All right. And to all of you listening in, like I always say, keep on tuning in and we'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time. For listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.